fill your horn with oil and be on your way. I am sending you to Jesse of Bethlehem. I have chosen one of his sons to be king. Notice the word I have, because our point one from your outline, because God does the actual selection. God's choices are superior. And why superior? Because he only selects those that meet his criteria for consideration. And then God himself does the actual selection of his servant leader. And there are at least three ways that we can glean here. Three ways on how God does his selection. First of all, God is always recruiting. Whether it be a king, a prophet, a pastor, a small group leader, someone to lead the worship team, God is always waiting and recruiting. Recruiting those who are ready. In Israel, from our text this morning, it is against the backdrop of rebellion and rejection that God begins the process of choosing a new king for Israel. He was ready to raise up a new king, and the people had been made ready to accept the new king. God worked behind the scenes throughout this time in Israel's history, during those difficult days in Israel's history, to prepare the way for his plan to be fulfilled. So what lessons can we learn from God's superior choice, knowing that he continued to recruit people to work for him? We have to understand that there are no accidents in life. Everything that occurs is always a part of a larger plan. God is working behind the scenes in ways that we cannot comprehend to accomplish his plans and his purposes. In Romans chapter 8, verse 28, Paul said, "We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." How is your Christian walk today, right at this very moment? Is it challenging or is it fulfilling? When Pastor Mike came up here and said, about experiencing God, how many of us knows God? But then, how many of us truly experience God in our life? You might be going through something in your Christian walk right now. Some challenges maybe, financial, relational, whatever the case may be. However, remember, God might be shaping your life in the way that he wants you to understand the things that is happening in your life and in my life are not an accident, but truly just to prepare us for the task at hand. Psalm 37:23 says, "If the Lord delights in a man's way, he makes his steps firm." I love this passage because until we truly experience God's presence in our lives, then we cannot claim this. Because it reads, if the Lord delights in a man's way, if everything that I do conforms to the will of what he had set for me, if I follow his will day in, day out in my life, whether at work, wherever, at home, then, he said, he makes his steps firm, grounded. Go ahead, turn it on. No. So, again, the question is, how is your Christian walk? Have you considered God is working behind the scene in your life to really prepare you to be His servant leader? God's choices are superior because God chooses before time. That's your next bullet on your outline. God prepares everything in advance. Way, way in advance. From our text, Samuel is told where to go to find the new king. It appears that the Lord had been arranging everything to bring His chosen king into the world at precisely the right moment in history. So, second thing we can learn from God's superior choice is that He prepares everything in advance. And events that happen in our lives are not accidental. I'd like to share a story with you, very quick. A couple of months ago, as you all know, May goes through the hemodialysis center 3 times a week. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday. And about a couple of months ago, she came home and said, well, you know what? I met this woman. She said that is a caregiver. And but she said she's tired of doing her line of work. She wants to change her field of work. And she said she really likes to find another job. And so we said, so what can we do? And I said, well, let's go pray for her so that whatever the desires of her heart, God will provide. Anyways, every now and then, May would mention how she has been talking with this woman at the dialysis center during those times. And you know, last week, what I was sharing you about, the thing that I treasured most in my work is when I filled those vacant positions. I never met this lady. I never seen her. But through May's telling me this, the story, that I thought I came to know this woman. Every time May comes home and share with me their discussion. And you know, during the interview process, I interviewed 7 men and 1 woman. Everybody, glaring resumes. They're all fit for the job. The ladies' appointment for interview is about 1:30 in the afternoon. And she was sitting right there in front of me, being interviewed. Before the interview, my phone rang. And May's on the other line. She said, will you buy some rice at Costco when you get, you know, and I am about to do this special thing, and I have to go on the side and say, okay. I said, does your friend looks like this, dark-haired? She said, yes. But I didn't know she calls her friend a certain name. I see this resume with a different name. But then again, I started to piece things together. Well, she said she's a caregiver, yes. Chula Vista, yes. Dialysis center, yes. I said, it cannot be. It cannot be. And then I looked further in the resume. She's from Batangas. I said, Batangas, yes, that's what she said. Or Laguna, right? And I said, wow. So anyways, we went through the interview process. Well, to make the long story short, not knowing who she was, I chose her to fill that vacant position. And then I called May and shared the story. And I said, could this be your friend? Could this be the one that you've been praying for the last few weeks?